Announcements made before elections are valued on their political impact rather than how likely they are to be implemented. By that measure, the BJP government in Karnataka has waded right in the middle of a quota conundrum, betting that their announcement to rejig reservations in the state will yield results in the upcoming elections. Now, whether this rejig will pass the test of law remains to be seen and frankly becomes irrelevant in light of polls that could take place in the next few weeks. Today, these dramatic visuals were seen outside the home of former BJP Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa in the Shivamogga district. These are members of the Banjara community who are upset with the rejig that has now split up the 17% reserve for scheduled castes into 4 sections. But the Banjaras are not the only ones upset. Karnataka has had a reservation for the Muslim community for the last 30 years at 4%. This has now been extinguished and Muslims are eligible for reservation with other communities under the economically weaker section quota of 10%. The Muslim community plans to move court, challenging the move. Some Dalit groups are also upset that internal quotas within the SC category have been created. All in all, after this move, 3 things have happened. The reservation in Karnataka has now overall gone up to 56%, hence crossing the Supreme Court limit of 50%. If I add in the EWS reservation, it's at 66%. The Muslim community no longer gets 4% reservation, and the reservation meant for all scheduled castes has been further split up. Of course, a political fight has erupted with the Congress saying this move is anti-constitutional and will be overturned if they come to power. The BJP, meanwhile, says they're working as per the constitution. But will this yield political gains? Because while the judicial test is some time away, the political test is much closer. But before we get into that discussion, let's take a look at some of the reactions coming in today.
ನಾನು ಇದು ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳದೇನೆ ಯಾರ್ದೋ ಮೇಲೆ ಆರೋಪ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನಂತೂ ಸಿದ್ಧ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಂಜಾರ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲೇ ಏನೋ ತಪ್ಪು ಗ್ರಹಿಕೆ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿಪಡಿಸುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಗಲಾಟೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದರು ಅವರನ್ನೇ ಕರೆಸಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಯಾಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆನೇ ನಾನೇ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಸಹ ಬಿಚ್ಚು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಂದ ಏನೇ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಲೋಪ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸರಿ. ಮೀಸಲಾತಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನವನ್ನು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, 100ಕ್ಕೆ 90 ಭಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದಿಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಏನಾದರೂ ಲೋಪ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿಪಡಿಸೋಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕೋ ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Of minority Muslims for 4%, it is against the constitution. So on behalf of the Congress party, I would like to condemn the decision of this government. Politically they are trying to do it. It will not serve the purpose. It will not. We did not. Congress, the Lingayats or Vokkaligas are not beggars. We don't want any other food. We are the farmer community. Both the Lingayats and Vokkaligas are the farmer community. We are not interested with that 4% or 2%, whatever they are given. The Congress party, as soon as we form the government in May, we are going to scrap this.
What are all the decisions taken by this government now about reservation issues also? That is laughing issue at this juncture. Now by left minorities from 4% reservation, that 4% they decided to give Vokkaliga and Lingayat. But where is the legality? How they will going to introduce this, implement? Congress, they are telling if our government comes, we will totally abolish all those things. They are telling like that. At this juncture, BJP can't come to power. How they are going to implement all these issues? To get only the voting issue, they have childishly, without apply their mind, they have announced last 3-4 days back. But legally it will not going to stand. Only to mislead the people in all sections. They tried. But this will going to boomerang on BJP part only.
All right. So those are some of the reactions coming in. Prashanth GS, BJP spokesperson, with me on the show today. I'm speaking with Karan Verma, author, Suraj Yengre, author, with me on the show in just a bit, and Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, joining us today. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for speaking with us. Let me go to the BJP spokesperson first. Mr. Prashanth, you heard Mr. H.D. Kumaraswamy in our conversation. He says it's unlikely to be implemented, and it has been done childishly. Is this a lollipop ahead of the elections? Let me ask you the question straight up. Is this merely a lollipop before the elections because it's unlikely to pass muster in court? You have crossed 50%.
Tamanna, there are two sides to it. One, definitely yes, from the 50% to 56%, what has increased. That is from the scheduled caste, which had 15%, which increased to 17%, and scheduled tribe, which were 3%, which went to 7%, taking the entire reservation to 56%. We understand that the cabinet has given its approval here in Karnataka, and they have sent the note for central's approval and subsequent legal decisions to be taken insofar as inclusion in the 9th schedule is concerned. That is insofar as the overall increase in limit for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe is concerned. And coming to the other issue, the burning issue rather, which probably the Congress and the opposition is raking up today by giving it a different turn, is that under the reservation category, you have category 1 of 4%, backward classes, and category 2A, 15%. In those categories, Muslims also find place. And because it is in consensus with how Article 15.4
I have not
and
even
16.4
come to the question of Muslim quota yet, Mr. Prashanth.
Based on the backward classes?
You've jumped the gun, sir. I have not even come to the question on Muslim quota. Because it's not just Muslims who are upset today.
No.
I have not even come to that point. Aap visual dekhiye screen par. Please see the visuals we are showing. This is not Muslim community who's protesting. You've seen the visuals today at Mr. Yediyurappa's residence. That's not the Muslim community who's protesting. Who is happy?
Tamanna, I'll answer that also. See, what has happened is after the internal reservation for the scheduled caste came out, for 3 days there's been nothing. Only now with the Congress instigated attacks, because if you closely hear what D.K. Shivkumar stated, he said, we are not beggars to take 4%. Does it mean that people who are availing reservation are beggars? He is comparing them to beggars. What has in reality happened is 4% under category 2B, which was earmarked for Muslims, has been now divided among Lingayats and Vokkaligas.
I understand what's happened, Mr. Prashanth, but if you will allow me, I want to structure this conversation. No, 1 minute. I will structure this conversation and I will come to the question of Muslim category. First, let's address the overall question and then we'll come to it part by part. Because today, like I said, the visuals you have seen are not of the Muslim community who are protesting. The comments of Mr. D.K. Shivakumar you're talking about was in the context of the Lingayat community and the Vokkaligas community. Neither of them are those who are protesting over there. Okay, so there are different groups who are protesting. Everyone seems upset. Now, my question is, what exactly has been achieved by this? Sanjay Hegde, I want to bring in the legal perspective over here. Will this muster the test of law? Because, you know, you can make announcements, but you have to actually be able to implement it.
Well, going by various governments.
All of us are aware as to how 9th schedule works out.
Yes. The question for Mr. Hegde, please, sir. Yes.
Well, I can't speak if I'm interrupted.
Okay. Go ahead. Yes.
See, there have been various governments which have announced various reservations, knowing fully well that they will be struck down by the courts. You had the Maratha reservation in Maharashtra. You had the Jat reservation in Haryana. So each time this becomes a kind of announcement just before elections, knowing fully, then you say that, then you put in big lawyers. Some lawyers will make money trying to defend the indefensible in court. But Karnataka's reservations has had a long history. And you know, the curious part of Karnataka reservations is that under some category or the other, about 90% of the populace qualify for some form of reservation or the other. We have had the various backward classes commission's reports, including the Havnur Commission report and all that. But now what, curiously, after EWS, you have a much smaller percentage of the population taking a bigger share of the cake. The equality of opportunity in Karnataka, as far as government jobs are concerned, or even access to government education is concerned, is somewhere getting out of balance. Of course, the 50% has been breached, but it has been breached in a manner where 4% has gone to the two most prominent communities in Karnataka. So I do expect several legal challenges, and I'm not sure that this will stand the scrutiny of courts.
Okay. Quick response from Mr. Prashanth. Quick response from Mr. Prashanth. And yes, I will come to the question of, extinguishing reservation for Muslims, which has been there from last 30 years. But it has been given to two most prominent communities. Is this, and I started with this question, is this clearly a pre-poll SOP?
See, understand one thing, the limit which Sanjay is talking about is not breached because of this 4%. That is breached because of the increase of scheduled caste reservation from 15 to 17% and scheduled tribe from 3 to 7%, which resulted in the increase from 50 to 56%. This particular category 2B, which only Muslims were entitled to, despite Muslims who are in the backward classes, were already part of category 1 at 4% and category 2A under 15%. Muslims are also present there. It's not that some subcastes of Muslims are not present there at all. This was exclusively which was for Muslims on religious basis. That has been removed and given to Vokkaligas and Lingayats, because they are also been demanding their fair share because they were only getting 4 and 5%. Now they've become 6 and 7% in terms of bringing them under 2C and 2D. And the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe has have been anyway given the reservation, which is subject to it being included in the 9th schedule. So therefore, we have to wait for hoping that the 9th schedule, it will be approved in the 9th schedule, and therefore
that's all fine, Mr. Prashanth, but where have you answered my question, sir? No, all that is fine, but where have you answered my question? My question is, this is a pre-poll SOP. Is this a pre-poll SOP aimed very clearly at two very powerful communities in terms of vote share?
No, we have always stood for social justice and social engineering, and in fact, even the internal reservation for scheduled caste should have been done by the previous Congress government and the 1.5 years of the coalition government, which they failed to do. Nevertheless, despite now, I agree that yes, it has been the end of the during the fag end of the term, it's come up, but nevertheless, we have made the effort to ensure that what has been promised has been delivered to them, and the scheduled castes who have been given the internal reservation should have nothing to complain about.
Okay, so no one should complain. Dr. Suraj Hegde is with us, author.
We have not,
1 minute. Dr. Suraj Hegde is with us. I'm very happy to speak with you, Dr. Hegde.
Nobody complained for 3 days. Nobody complained for 3 days.
So what does that mean, Mr. Prashanth? If nobody complained for 3 days, is their complaint on the 4th day not legitimate anymore? I mean, I'm not understanding the logic of it. They are complaining today. There's stone pelting outside Mr. Yediyurappa's house.
It's a Congress instigated report.
So you're saying they're that powerful in the state? You're saying they're that powerful in that state?
Instigated incidents.
About 2 months before the elections, you're saying they have the power to muster such large crowds.
These attacks.
Okay, 1 minute. Dr. Hegde, great to have you on the show. I want to understand this, what the relevance of quotas and reservation continues to be in the current day and age. And give us some context about why this is still such a potent election issue. Also, your view on the extinguishing of the 4% Muslim quota, which has been in this particular state since 1994.
See, Tamanna, as Sanjay Hegde was saying, Karnataka historically, especially the state of Mysore, has been extremely progressive. Many of the, especially south, and also when you go to western Maharashtra, especially Shahu Maharaj, and that state were always progressive, looking for the social justice and economic redistribution of power. And that they did through advocating for reservation way before Government of India Act. This was happening way before. I mean, if you talk about Maharashtra 1902, the Wadiyar Raja in the state of Mysore has himself been actively proposing this measure. So what we really have is a state-centered policy trying to focus on the most marginalized, underrepresented groups and use the state coffers to bring the people up to the par so then they can become a respectable, honorable taxpayer of the country. In this case, when government of India, when the new constitution was constituted, and there were many groups, and this is Dr. Ambedkar trying to enlist many backward caste people, they rejected their enlisting because they found that this to be a very degrading notion to be identified, what Mr. D. Shivkumar said, kind of identifying themselves as somebody who don't want to rely on the state doles, quote unquote beggars and so forth. But eventually seeing the progress or whatever relative progress when it comes to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, not only in education, but also in job. However, we see this become extremely politicized from 1970s onwards, but 1990 was a very important breaking point. This is when Mandal Commission, of course, comes in, and the report enumerates that the supposedly landed communities or the communities that are involved in farming were meant to have a representation. But as they see, it was not. And now in a neoliberal India, the groups like Vokkaligas, although they are farm owners, but they don't have adequate representation because, of course, the farm is going away from their grips and they really don't have much to rely upon if you look at the comparative idea of how social justice to function. Now, let me very briefly comment on how religion vis-a-vis caste, there's always this conflation that's worked within this legal paradigm. And I concur with what Sanjay is saying. We might have more legal challenges to whatever happened. But the decision to really sideline Muslims and opposed to give Vokkaligas and Lingayats, it's really smacks of a very difficult sort of patriotic challenge to especially the Kannadigas who have had this progressive policy. What it really does in many senses, it is pitting one group or two groups or groups against each other. It was not. If it has to be expanding the scope, not just of EWS, but it's 56 now. It could go more. What Tamil Nadu does.
So is the Karan Verma, is the positioning today not just that I'm increasing your share in government jobs and government educational centers, because that's really what is at stake here, but also that I'm taking it away. I'm taking it away from the Muslim community and giving it to you. Because frankly, if you're going to cross 50% in any case to 56, then if you go to 56 or 58 or 60, judicially you're in the same stage, So is there a political statement being made here?
I'm sure there must be some political statement, but is it right is what I want to focus my energies on. And if we go back and trace back the roots of this, Tamanna, the concept of reservation was always meant for educationally and socially backward. If we go back to the Article 15.4, it was never meant to be on religious basis. And when the first Karnataka Backward Classes Commission gave its report in 1975 to the then CM, Devraj, it clearly said that Muslims are not educationally or socially backward. They have less representation. Now, less representation, if it's not attributed to educational and social backwardness, it is when the community needs to look within. Even in the second Karnataka Backward Class Commission, which came out in 1983, when I think Mr. Ramakrishna Hegde was the CM, even then they said that they are not backward in terms of educational and social parameters, but backward in economic parameters, which is why even today an EWS, where the Muslims can get their fair share, EWS makes more sense. It was never in the offing. When H.D. Devegola came up with it in 1994, even then, nowhere was it mentioned that Muslims are socially or educationally backward. So it was a wrong thing in the place from 30 years, I would say. And it's a right step when this has been scrapped off. The Andhra Pradesh
one
government,
minute. Mr. Sanjay Hegde, just your response to that constitutional.
Let me
I just want his response to that constitutional, constitutional. Okay, complete, Karan. Go ahead.
In 2004, Tamanna, coming to the constitutional bit of it, 2004, the Andhra Pradesh government introduced a 4% reservation for Muslims. At that time, it was challenged. And since then, our milords are still sitting over it. They had said that in 2005 they'll form a constitutional bench to look into it, and it's been 18 years. In 2010, an interim order of the Supreme Court came where it said that this needs to be looked at legally. For the time being, this can continue. So it has not been looked into, and a verdict hasn't come in there.
Okay, so that's useful, Karan, because that clarifies that the BJP's position, position that the Constitution does not allow for religious reservation is still up for debate. Several states have still done it. Sanjay Hegde, what is the legal position? What is the legal position here on Muslim reservation? Because the broad understanding is it is for socially backward classes and castes. But
it's for socially and economically
some states have taken their own calls. Okay, yes, Mr. Hegde, please.
It's for socially and economically backward classes of citizens.
It is socially and educationally backward. Nowhere is
socially
economically mentioned.
Sorry, you're right there. Socially and educationally backward classes of people. Now, that is not drawn on religious lines. But it does not mean that people who follow a religion cannot also be socially and educationally backward class of people.
Fine.
So, if you determine that any set of people through identifiable indicia, including religion, are socially and educationally backward, then you can grant them reservations. Listen, there are Rajput Muslims, there are Khatik Muslims. Rajputs are a dominant kind of community, and the Khatiks are those who are equal to the leather workers. So it is not as if caste disappears or caste-based identities disappear with conversion. This has happened even among the Christians. So there is another petition which is pending in the court as to whether the benefits which are now committed only to the Hindu backward castes should not be extended to other backward castes in other religions. So to say as a point of law that you cannot give a reservation for any person following a non-Hindu faith, that is absolutely wrong. Okay.
So it seems it's a political decision. At the end of the day, it's a political decision.
No,
which group you want to give reservations to?
Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. So right now the political decision is that you take it away from the Muslims and give it to whom? The two most forward castes in Karnataka, the Vokkaligas and the Lingayats. The Vokkaligas dominate southern Karnataka on the plateau. The Lingayats dominate northern Karnataka. So it is like taking away from the starving to address the well-fed.
Mr. Prashanth, would you like to respond to that? Sanjay Hegde describes it as taking away from the starving to give it to the well-fed. Yes.
No, definitely not. Because under Article 15.4 and under Article 16.4, they should be backward only. So under Category 3B, which is prevalent in the state of Karnataka now, Lingayat, including Panchamashalis, Marathas, Bands, Christians, everybody are included there because that is not being done on only religious basis. The Category 2B which was there, which was only on religious basis for Muslims, that has been done away with. And historically, there has been demand for increase in reservation for both Vokkaligas and Lingayats because there are many subsects and subcastes in that who are really backward. So therefore, the reservation for them has been increased from 4 to, which were earlier 4, has become 5, become 6, and which was 5 only become 7. So really not too much has changed for them, excepting that the backward caste amongst the Lingayats and Vokkaligas are getting 2% each extra now. And I also repeat that under the EWS category 10%, there is no internal reservation, and Muslims are as much entitled as any other community who are entitled for EWS, and probably they may also be entitled for a bigger bouquet in the 10% share.
1 minute, Mr. Prashanth. in the version before this, Muslims were also entitled to EWS, as anyone is, as an economically weaker section.
As were the Vokkaligas and the Lingayats. The Vokkaligas and
EWS is
Lingayats.
for everyone, including Vokkaligas and Lingayats.
But you had this. You had this. Tamanna, what is not permitted is reservation based only on religion.
Yes.
Under category 2B, which was only on religious basis for Muslims at 4%, has been done away with now. So there is we have not done anything against the constitution, and we have not done anything against the constitution, and constitution doesn't permit reservation based on religion.
No, but that's what Mr. Hegde is saying, that it does not explicitly say you cannot give someone reservation if they are of a different religion. Mr. Hegde, is that the right reading?
Exactly the point. Exactly the point that if somebody is not a Hindu, can you extend the benefits of reservations? More so if they also belong to castes which are like the Hindu scheduled castes. That is a question which is pending before the Supreme Court. So here was the identification by the state of Karnataka that among the Muslim that there are backward castes among the Muslims. So for them, there was a 4%.
So the current government has decided to do away with it. The current government has decided to do away with it.
You already have category 1 and category 2A, and Muslims are also part of it.
So 1 minute. So this will clearly and undoubtedly,
Muslims are also part of it.
This will clearly and undoubtedly go to the courts. Now, whether it passes the test of the judiciary of the courts or not remains to be seen. But the fact is that it is a political move made before the elections. The political test comes before the judicial test. And that really is the big one. I'm completely out of time. Apologies. I wish we could go on. I'm completely out of time. I will have to take a very short break, and I want to thank all of our guests. I wish we had more time to talk about this. Definitely needs more explanation and detailing. But on the other side, I have with me Mr.